All right, armchair detectives, welcome back. Tonight, we're cracking open the vault, pulling out a police file from the Palm Beach PD dated May 1st, 2006. This one document, this affidavit, it lays out the entire criminal operation at 358 El Brillo Way. And, this is the evidence that really should have changed everything, right then and there.
The entry was always the same. Just think about those 6 words for a second. They come directly from a sworn statement in the file, and man, do they set a chilling stage. It's not about a one-time event. It speaks to a routine, a system, a cold, calculated process that was happening over and over again, hidden right behind that sunny Palm Beach facade. This isn't just a random detail, folks. It's the absolute key to understanding how this whole thing worked.
And that operation, well, it had a home. Right here, 358 El Brillo Way. I mean, look at it, a massive estate in one of the richest zip codes in the entire country. From the outside, you just see another mansion, right? Perfectly manicured lawns, projecting all that power and privacy. But what was going on behind those walls? That was something else entirely. It was a stage, and it was set meticulously for a crime. So let's walk the path. Based on victim testimony, including a young woman the affidavit calls Robson, a really grim pattern emerges. The journey, it was always the same. It started at the front door. From there, you were led straight to the kitchen. Now, this wasn't some friendly greeting, okay? It was more like a checkpoint, an intake. And from the kitchen, the path was always up the stairs to the master bedroom suite. Every single step was part of this well-worn trail, designed specifically to take a victim from what seemed like a normal home to a place of complete and total isolation.
And you have to understand, that path wasn't random, not at all. It was the very first step in a chillingly efficient routine. So now let's move past just the layout of the house and really dig into the mechanics of the abuse. Because this was a system, and it was designed for one purpose: to disarm, to normalize, and ultimately to exploit.
In the 2006 file, the investigators even gave this process a name. They called it the Sarah routine. And look how it's defined. Not as a crime, not as abuse, but as a logical process. A logical process. The purpose was purely psychological. It was all about creating this veneer of professionalism, making an absolutely unthinkable situation feel somehow ordinary, maybe even legitimate.
So here's what that looked like in practice, right? Staff, like Sarah Kellen, would have a massage table all prepared. Fresh linens, everything clean. They'd have specific oils set out. I mean, these are all the things you'd expect to see at a high-end spa, a legitimate business. And that was the point. By wrapping the crime in all the procedures of a normal activity, the whole system was designed to confuse, to control, to make the victims question their own reality. And then, after, came the payment. The affidavit mentions a very consistent figure: $200. $200. Let's be clear, this wasn't a gift, it was a transaction. It was the final awful step in a dehumanizing process. It reduced a human being to, what, a line item? An expense? It was designed to seal the deal, to buy their silence, and to frame this horrific crime as just another simple, repeatable business deal.
But one person saw right through that entire facade. He saw the house, he saw the routine, he saw those payments for exactly what they were. And that brings us to the man who put this entire file together. It brings us to the tragedy of Detective Joe Recarey.
Detective Joe Recarey, he was the lead investigator for the Palm Beach PD. He was the one who actually sat and listened to the victims, the one who painstakingly documented this whole routine. He's the guy who methodically compiled all of this absolutely damning evidence into the affidavit we're looking at tonight. And you gotta get this. Back in 2006, he had it all. He had the case. It was done.
So the big question is, why was he stopped? Why didn't this affidavit from 2006 lead to a life sentence? And it really all boils down to this one central, tragic question, a question we have to ask ourselves. How does a local detective, a guy armed with just the facts, fight a billionaire who has a world of power and international protection at his fingertips? Well, the answer to that really lies in what happened next, in Recarey's legacy. It's a story of justice, not just delayed, but for so many completely denied. It's a story of a system that, when tested, failed to protect the vulnerable and instead chose to protect the powerful. Just look at this timeline. It's brutal. 2006, Recarey signs the affidavit. The case is ready to go. Then just 2 years later, 2008, that secret non-prosecution sweetheart deal gets made, and it shuts the whole federal investigation down. A full decade goes by. Then in 2018, Detective Joe Recarey dies. He was only 50 years old. And it's only 1 year after his death that Epstein is finally arrested. That huge gap, that wasteland between Recarey's solid police work and that final arrest, that is a decade of lost justice. I just want you to let this sink in. The work Detective Recarey finished back in 2006, the file we've just walked through, it contained more than enough evidence for a life sentence. A sentence that never happened because of forces way beyond his control. He solved the case. He was never allowed to close it.
You see, the house on El Brillo Way, that was the hub, but this operation was global. So tomorrow, for day 3, we leave Florida behind. We're going to follow the evidence into the sky and examine the flight logs. So make sure you join us then, armchair detectives, as the investigation continues.